Welcome to the Ultimate Pattern Builder building guide, where I will show you how this mechanism works. First, you need to know that every candle in my builder is split to three parts: body, upper wick, which can be called higher wick as well, or simply high, and last part, lower wick or simply low. The whole picture looks like this. Now I will show you step by step how to build candle for case A. Let's start with body. White color represents that there is no specific direction, so it can be bullish or bearish. Green color stands for bullish direction, it goes above starting point, therefore up. On the other hand, red stands for bearish, so it goes below starting point, down. Next we have upper wick, which goes from higher edge of body, upside, and lower wick, which goes from lower edge of body, downside. Time to move on from basics to real parameters. One of them is to set body direction. One direction is bullish. For this guide I choose green color. Opposite direction is bearish, with red color. And third direction, all, which is combination of both directions. It represents bearish and bullish. After we set body direction, we can move to next parameter to set actual body size. I will show several examples of how to set body size and how it works. 0 points, for example, means totally dodgy candle, body without body. How about real body with 100 points? Let's try some lower value. And even lower. That was it for bullish direction. Next is all direction. Let's start with 70 points value of body. Because we use all direction, body can move on bearish side too. After we finish with body settings, we can move on to wicks. First, let me show you upper wick setting. First example of upper wick size is 50 points. Next, 100 points, 1 times bigger than previously. At the opposite side of body lays lower wick. 100 points size looks like this. And a bit lower value. Now that we have built all three parts of a candle, we can look at whole picture. I hope you now understand how this basic simple candle structure works. It's important because my mechanism of building is a little more complex than that, but still very simple. Let me explain why is that. Firstly, I want to emphasize that you can still build candle with exact value like what we were doing until now. But in reality, for most people, such system would be useless. Thing is that candlesticks are used in many strategies that view candlestick as patterns, shapes, story if you want. And if you search for candle using very exact value, you may miss story, pattern, shape, because they are never or almost never so exact to the 1 point value. Basically, every candle has different shape, different value, and to search for exact such candle value, you may miss a lot of very similar candles that tells the same story that represents the same pattern or shape. What I want to say, in reality you need to search for a certain range of values, and in this range you can find right candle. And my solution for this range is split into 3 options. For now let's name it body size direction. So, body value can be greater, less, or between. All 3 options are compared to value we want. First, let's take a look at example for greater option. When we set body size direction to be greater, then we need to set actual size as well, in this case 50 points. Dot line represents edge of a 50 points body, and from that edge above we are in greater range. That means that everything up from that line fits in our conditions of being greater than 50 points body. Question is, where would you use this? For example, you want to find big candle and everything beyond 50 points is big. What about lower option? then everything below our dot line represents range from 50 to 0 points body. This can be useful when searching for bodies which can't extend beyond some value, for example small bodies. Last third option is for between value. This is actually a combination of lower and greater options. At the edge of body we have dot line, which is equal to greater option, so greater than 50 points. Second dot line is equal to lower option, so it represents lower than 100 points. And in between these two lines we have our range to find any body. Now, I said you can use exact value to 1 point precision. You can do this by using between option. Just use same number for greater and lower value, and the range will be 1 point, so it will find exact 50 points. Now that we know how to build body, it's time to move on wicks. Logic is entirely the same as for body, except that applies to upper wick. We want upper wick to be greater than 60 points. That means that its range can be anything above dot line. That line stands 60 points above edge of a body, so any value beyond line is our range. Next is less option. Range is between edge of a body and dot line. Anything in between fits our condition. And lastly, between option. Same as for body. Apply two numbers, greater and lower, and range is in between. In this example, 0 points is edge of body, 60 points is dot line. If you want exact precise value to 1 point, then do the same as we did for body between two equal numbers. So, asked value is not below or above dot line, but exactly dot line, which is 100 points above edge of body. As regarding lower wick, same logic applies than for upper wick, just opposite direction, below lower edge of body. And that is it for case A. Now let's sum it up with big picture. First we have body of a candle, and that body can go in 3 directions: bullish, bearish, or both. Beside body direction, we can also set body size, which is done by setting range, greater, less, or between any value. Then after body, wicks comes in play. For wicks we don't decide any direction, because they are split into lower and upper wick, so they can go only in one direction. But we decide size, which has the same mechanism as for body, so we choose range, greater, less, and between any value. Same story goes for lower wick. And that is all for first candle. Exactly same is with candlestick 2 and 3. Now it's time for case B. Why we need it? Because case A is too limited. If you want to find patterns and shapes, it's hard to do it with point system. For example, you can't search for wick to be literally half the body or less, or to set second candle body to be strictly lower than first candle body. So all this is possible with case B, where we use system of percentage value and comparison. And that is one fundamental of case B to build any shape. Second fundamental is to have same shape in any condition. So whatever volatility currency pair has, and whatever time frame you use, you can find same shape everywhere. And how we achieve that? By using average value and comparing candles to this value. Average value represents average true range of any chosen candlesticks. Let's look at next example. Imagine that average value of past 100 candlesticks at certain moment is equal to this candle. Then the next step is the same as before, setting candle direction, which can be in 3 ways. Third step is also same as before, deciding body value range. Now it's time for candle's body to be set. We compare its value to this average. Thing is that we don't know what is actual size of the average, so we can only estimate, but we can determine what is big or small candle. If average counts body and wicks, then when building just body, we can assume that bigger than 100% is big body. And such input would look like this. Time to build such body. I will mark chosen settings with yellow. On the left, you can see average candle for reference. In reality, you can't see such candle, so I will use it for easier explanation. Now we have bullish body which is greater than average value. That means that our range is any value beyond the dotted line. What could happen if we would change size of average sample from 100 candles to 50 candles? Size of average value would most probably change. For this example, let's say it would get lower. And let's also change direction and decision. In this case, our range would be any value below dot line, which represents 100% of average value. What if we change body size comparison instead of 100% to 50% of average? As you can see in all these examples, mechanism of body direction and decision is the same as for case A. After greater and less, we can take a look at between option. Now we use two dot lines for value range. Upper line represents edge of 200% average value and lower line is equal to 50% of average. Now, what about all direction? And last example for bodybuilding. New value of average. Because all direction and between decision, I will use two range windows. Bullish with green color is in upper range. Bearish with red color is in lower range. And that's how body and average is built. Time to move on wicks. First we decide to what will be that wick compared, either to average or to body which is already built. Then we have value range decision. And finally, actual size. For first example, I will show you upper wick compared to average less than 25%. Two dot lines are set and our value is in between. Next setup is the opposite. After two examples with average, we can compare wick to body and between example of body comparison. So between 50% and 100% of body value. So now I am showing between 50% and 100% of body value. What about between comparison to average? I think everything should be clear for upper wick by now, so let's move to lower wick which has exact same logic except other direction. And that is it for case B. To sum it up, I will show you whole picture. I will compare what is different between all three candles. Take a close look at changes. For body, what is changed is that at second candle you can compare second body to average or to first candle's body. Regarding upper wick, at second candle there is one more possible comparison. And for lower wick the same. Body 3 versus body 2 has additional comparison. Upper wick 3 versus upper wick 2 has additional comparison. And less comparison of lower wick 3 and 2. It's important to understand how candle parts are related to each other. That means how they compare to one another. So to summarize whole this comparison logic again, I will now show step by step every single connection. First we have average, and then we have first candle's body. And as you see with this arrow line, first candle's body can be related to average value. Then we have upper wick 1, and its relation to first candle's body and average. On the other side lays lower wick with relation to first candle's body and average. And that is it for first candle. Next is second candle, which can be compared to body 1 or average. Upper wick of second candle has relation to body 2, body 1 and average. Lower wick 2 has the same relation as upper wick 2, that is second candle's body, first candle's body and average. And the last, third candle, which starts with body. It can be compared to body 2, body 1 or average. Upper wick of third candle goes either to body 3, body 2, body 1 or average. And the very lastly, lower wick of third candle is related to third candle's body, second candle's body, first candle's body and average. This big picture shows the same thing as this big picture with graphical diagram. But there is extra option. If you want to have first candle's body with more specific value, you can compare it to exact point value. Thank you for watching.